Good afternoon. Again, my name is Tumi. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is going to be session number 2 on this Web API series. And in our previous video, we covered HTTP verbs or methods, looking at get, post, put, and delete. So we should mark this video as done. Save. Now, today we're going to be focusing on the response type in Web API, particularly looking at the JSON. We'll talk about this. It's very, very important. But before I continue with that, I forgot to tease you when it comes to Xamarin, because this is a preparation for Xamarin, right? So I was doing, let me show, for example, let's look at feedbacks. Please watch the previous video. I just want to continue because I forgot to show this. If you look at the feedbacks, when you get all the feedbacks, this corresponds with what Xamarin is expecting. So if I open Xamarin, shared project, and then we look at the services, we look at the general for feedbacks, you can see that there is a feedback service class. We'll look at this, but I just want to show you how they link. This HTTP get attribute, it's linked to this guy. And yes, I know there's no dependency injection. I'm still going to do a dependency injection before I get to Xamarin. Okay, so but what it does is that this is how you will know that this is a get. So I'm expecting to get all the feedbacks from the system. As you can see that I'm returning a list of a feedbacks model. And then when it comes to posting a feedback using this attribute, this me writing the feedback using the post verb or method, and I'm posting. So but we'll talk about this at a later stage. Okay, so a business of today, what is response type in Web API? Okay, because I feel like this is very important, especially based on what I just showed you, So let's see, Web API request and response data formats. Let's see. This should be interesting. Okay, let's see this one. Tutorials teacher website is incredible. Okay, here you will learn how Web API handles different formats of request and response data. I'm not going to get into the media type. I think this one is very interesting. Okay, let's see this one. Now, Web API converts request data into CLR object and also serialize. You will see more of the word serialize. CLR object into response data based on accept and content type headers. Web API includes built-in support for JSON. You see, Web API includes built-in support for JSON, XML, JSON, and form URL encoded data. It means it automatically converts request and response or response data into these formats out of the box. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, because when you request, I think this is very important. Let me read this. Okay, let me see this website, what it has. Oh no. Okay, let's come back here. So because there's something that's very interesting that I want to highlight. Okay, as you can see above, the post method or action method accept student type parameter, saves that student to DB and returns inserted student with generated ID. The above web API handles HTTP post we read from our previous session or previous video, request with JSON or XML data and passes it to a student object based on a content type header. Notice this content type header value, and the same way it converts inserted student object into JSON or XML based on accept header value. So in our case, let's go back again to feedbacks. Oh, before we go here, let me show. I forgot that I also have to show web API in .NET Core. Let's go to controllers, v1 and general feedbacks. I forgot because I need to do side-by-side comparison so you can see something interesting. Okay, it's fine, because I don't like to do things, half and all that. Okay, so this project is .NET Core for web API, right? Cool. So it's the same thing. Now let me not spoil everything here, but I want to show you something. So .NET Core, I'm gonna bring it to this side. Visual Studio, wake up. Okay, so this is .NET Framework, this is .NET Core. What I want to show you is the way .NET Core handles the HTTP. I'm trying to wrap up the things I didn't do here. Okay, so we did cover that on line 32, HTTP GET. Do you see how it is? Now there is another attribute called route. Now here's the thing, in .NET Core you can have these two lines as one line, and here it is. We still have HTTP GET, but at the same time we can still pass in the route. But we don't use route. We don't say route. I don't know if it makes sense. We don't say this is the route. It knows that whatever we are passing in the parentheses, I think the constructor is the route itself. So in .NET Core, it's been simplified. I hope that makes sense because it's very, very important. Absolutely important. Absolutely important. Another thing while we are there, because when it comes to get, we're expecting 200 as we read in our previous session, in the previous video, that you can return 200. So in here, but I'm still gonna dive deeper into, but this is what we are doing today, which is, or right now, which is response type, right? Okay, I think we are done with the previous video, which is HTTP verbs and method. I'm sorry about confusion. Okay, now we are on the response type. We just read about the response type, right? So I was saying, now the response type, when we look at this guy, what is being requested from Xamarin? Where is Xamarin? Okay, let's wait for Visual Studio to wake up. Apologies, Visual Studio has habit of just being unresponsive. I don't know why, but okay, let's go back to Xamarin, okay, where we are asking for all the feedbacks. If you look at this, okay, how about we do the one where we are actually writing the feedback, because then we are requesting something. This one of get, or it won't serve that type of point I want to get across. So instead, let's go write feedback from Xamarin, because here we are learning a lot about the requests, the way to requests. Web API handles HTTP post request with the JSON or XML data. So this is where I'm at right now with the JSON. Okay, and if you go back, and this is what we are doing. We are saying, listen, var JSON. We're gonna serialize this object, converting using JSON converter, right? Whatever that comes in into JSON, converting to JSON. And then what we're gonna be doing, this content header, content type, we saw it somewhere, and passes it to a student object based on content type header. There we go. Based on content type header value. and the same way it converts inserted student object into JSON based on accept header value. All right, so in this case, now we know that we are using JSON converter to convert whatever that comes in, right, into JSON. And then we are saying, listen, the content type, the header for the content type is gonna be Visual Studio. Like, apologies with what's happening. Let me stop something that's, I believe, could be contributing. Okay, so that the memory, okay, there we go, thank goodness. Right, that now the content, the header for the content type, we are saying we want it to be in JSON. So when we are sending this guy, it's gonna go into the web API as a JSON, right? Now that's what I want to show, that now in my system I am primarily using and making use of JSON as opposed to XML or JSON, other funny crappy stuff. This is the only thing I want to get you know, as a point out there to you, that because you're gonna be seeing a lot of Xamarin. I don't want you to be alarmed by what is this, especially this. But what I intend to do, like I said, I intend to use depletes injection on Xamarin, you know, so that this is wrong. It's working, but it's wrong at the same time. The code should be kept smaller, cleaner, and straight to the point. But just know that. Okay, so going back to the controller. So now here's the thing. I don't know by default how does it .NET framework know that the response type has to be in JSON. I don't know. Let's try to hunt for that one. Web API config, not Swagger. Web API config, is there a way where we are specifying that the response type should be in JSON? No, it seems like we are not. But what's interesting about .NET Core, because it's the same endpoint, is that we are able to use an attribute called produces response type. Produces response type, right? So it's gonna produce this response type of a 404 if we could not find any of the feedbacks, and 200 if we did find at least one feedback from the system. So this is very important. This is a very important syntax. Like I said, the first line when it comes to the action method of this endpoint should be the HTTP verb or the method, and in .NET Core you also pass instantly the route to that endpoint or on that verb or method. The second thing, you just have to list it. What is it that you are expecting to be the response type on this particular endpoint? In this case, your 404 and 200. Like I said, when I get down to feedbacks video, I will show exactly what's happening in both of these controllers. But for now, this is what I want to show. Another thing that's very important for you to note is that when I use Swagger, by default, Swagger is being configured to use JSON as the response type by default. Also, when I use Postman, please watch my previous videos. There are two separate videos that I made, one for Swagger as a service provider, second one a Postman as a service provider. That's where I get to show. I'm not going to do it right now because that's not the focus, but please watch those videos so you can understand the response type when you use those external tools. Okay, I hope with that it became clear enough. Okay, and then that's it. That's all we had to look at right now. Okay, so let's close everything, particularly Xamarin, and then we'll come back to this guy. So the next video, what are we doing? The next video, we're going to be talking about contracts. Now, this one you want to hear. This one you want to hear. Okay, so if you find this video to be helpful, I'm trying to keep them as short as possible. If you find this video to be helpful, please like it. If you have any comment, thoughts or questions, leave them on the comment section below. If you love the entire content on this YouTube channel, please subscribe and then click on the notification bell to be notified when I release videos, as I do so every single day. With that being said, let's meet on the next session shortly.